Jurassic Park is frightening in the dark, but the daily grind is running wild. That's a Weird Al Yankovic song. Welcome to the daily grind. Man, shout out to Weird Al. I know he's watching. No, he's not. I'm your host. He might be. He's a weirdo like me. I am your host, Luke Atmaker. It's hump day. We are like what? 24 and some change. I can't do math. We're really close to the trade deadline. It is ticking away. I've got Rusty with me. How are you, brother? Good to see you.
I'm good, man. It is a good Wednesday morning. You know, Luke, I used to not be a fan of facial hair, but then it grew on me. So happy to be here with my bearded brethren talking about the Memphis Grizzlies this morning.
Dude, we need to do a beard. We got good beards on this show. And Uncle Buck needs to get his beard game up. But I digress because you know who doesn't have beards? Raptors. They got feathers, but they don't. That's a bad transition.
What a transition. Professional.
If anybody, Wayno, I know you're an artiste. If you're able to draw a raptor with a beard, hit me up. I'd like to see it. But I digress because they are playing the Toronto Raptors in Toronto tonight. And we get some horses back, it looks like. The Memphis Grizzlies. Looks like we have Brandon Clark, John Conchar, Marcus Smart, and Vince Williams Jr. Two of those guys were upgraded to questionable. I guess we should mention Desmond Bane is still out dealing with that ankle. You touched on that earlier this week, which is super helpful. Doc Buckets is the most important doctor I have. I'm going to the doctor today, and you're still the number one doctor I got. What are you wanting to see? I mean, do you think? I mean, it's Taylor Jenkins. We're going to get minutes. Eased in, I imagine. Do you think Vince hops right back into this? I mean, what do you?
Yeah, I think he gets some run tonight, but we know they're ultra conservative. You know, I think tonight is a good night for them to kind of get their sea legs back underneath them a little bit. Them being Vince and possibly Marcus. I think Marcus needs to play just to show that he can ahead of the trade deadline. Because you know there's still so much rumblings around Brooklyn and now Chicago and some other teams we're going to talk about here in a few minutes. But like we need some run out of Marcus just to show that he can play, that he is available. But I do think Vince gets some run tonight. You know, probably like Gigi's first game, anywhere in that 10 to 15 minute neighborhood. It is the Raptors. Hopefully this is like a Yuki game midway through the third quarter, and we can get a little bit more run for Vince then. But I think they'll be conservative because it is coming back from a pretty severe grade 3 ankle sprain. And so I don't think there's going to be a huge rush to play him tonight.
Well, yeah, and I need to keep remembering. I'm sure we need to remind everybody else, all these Grizzlies fans, just the severity of the ankle sprain he did. You know, I mean, I think you said a few weeks back, this is one of the worst you've ever seen in terms of like once
and from when they announced it to where now he's playing, like this thing was probably a grade 3, but like a higher end grade 3 that had tearing of the ligaments and probably pretty severe tearing of the ligaments in his ankle because, I mean, he's been out for 12, 14 weeks now. Like it's been a long time since he's played basketball. And I had said it was going to be in that 8 to 10 week mark, trying to be, conservative, and that even exceeded what I thought it was going to be. So that just tells you how bad this ankle sprain truly was. And glad to see him back this season and back being able to play.
Yeah, no doubt, man. And it also looks like, you mentioned Marcus Smart maybe just being on here to show that he can play. I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but it does seem like maybe John Conchar is on this list for the same reason. It just seems like some of these guys, I don't want to say they're auditioning.
But there was a reason that Jitty and Jake got run in the first quarter the other night against the Bucks and against the Spurs. Like there was a reason they got a little bit more run than they probably should have. And I think it's because, like, rumor has it there were scouts there. There's usually always some scouts there, but there are people there watching just to see what Memphis has available. This is common practice in the NBA to send out scouts ahead of the trade deadline to see if there's anything there that you might want to poach. And so it makes sense that they got those. I tweeted out yesterday a picture. Shout out Amy, one of the front row season ticket holders for the Grizz. A famous person, Grizz Twitter anyway. Yep. She had a picture of Gigi's big windmill dunk, and I put on there the Taylor Jenkins in the background, like, man, he gonna take all my Jake LaRavia minutes.
It's so good. He's like, Well, it's funny you mentioned Jake LaRavia, man. I was just reading an article today. USA Today has an article about Jake LaRavia, about how he became the most. When did Jake LaRavia become the most important trade piece for the Grizzlies? I'll send it to you. It's a long article on USA Today about Jake LaRavia. And
about Jake LaRavia. Wow.
I was like, we are fishing for content if that's what we're doing right now.
If that's what you need to write a story about the Memphis Grizzlies, you ain't paying attention close enough.
I'm not going to send it to Uncle. We're not going to send it to Uncle Buck because there's some stats in this article that he will hang his hat on. Then we don't want that. We don't want that.
It's big enough already. We don't need to get any bigger.
One thing I'm interested about this game, not on the Grizzlies side, I do think the Grizzlies will win. Just for the simple fact that Toronto is in the tank. They're just they've been playing weller as of late, but they're just one of those teams that were so far behind the 8 ball, they don't stand a chance to come back into play. And so I imagine this goes a specific way. We might be getting some, speaking of audition tapes, the Raptors have a couple guys. I almost wanted to talk to you about Kelly Olynyk. There's just a couple guys on here. We've talked about Bruce Brown. Kelly Olynyk is a stretch big. I know some people have been talking about we need another big. Grady Dick is on this team. I just wanted to say his name because it's hilarious.
I've heard Dick is untouchable.
Yep, Pat. It seems to be the word around the street. Wayno gets it. It's a trap. There's some stuff to watch for tonight. It might not be. Shout out Edward. Wins or wins.
They haven't beat really anybody because you look at the team. Yeah, they're 8-2 in their last 10, but most of those wins are over the Pelicans, the Wizards, like some teams that aren't that great. They have gone toe-to-toe. In the month of January, they've gone toe-to-toe with Cleveland. They have beat Boston. They lost to the Clippers, close, but they played some decent games. They lost to the Knicks by 6. Remember, we lost to the Knicks by 28. They lost to the Knicks by 6. So, this is a team that you don't want to sleep on, because they will jump up and bite you. I mean, Raptors have teeth. They're known, they're clever girl. They're known to be clever with teeth. And so you don't want to get bit by a bad Toronto team. There are a lot of pieces on the team that could be good. I mean, I'd be interested, like you said, Kelly Olynyk, Bruce Brown. I would be interested in conversations about them. I think both those guys could fit what we're trying to do here. And Bruce Brown's cowboy hat belongs on Beale Street. With the bolo tie for sure. But this is a team not to be trifled with. You've got a big game looming on Saturday, and you don't want to fall asleep at the wheel tonight looking ahead at Oklahoma City on Saturday.
Yeah, that's really what I would like to see tonight is this team just not go off the rails.
Yeah, quickly can be a problem. He can quickly score and get Toronto ahead, So it's a team not to be trifled with. There's a lot of trade rumors, like you said, swirling around Bruce Brown, Kelly Olynyk. The Lakers have asked about Jakob Poeltl. There's a lot of things kind of in motion with this Raptor team, but don't let that fool you because they can jump up and beat you.
Yep. And I just you touched on it earlier. We want to see this team not fall asleep at the wheel. Good teams beat up on bad teams. That's what I would like to see happen. And let our guys get their sea legs out from under them, or under them for a game before we play Oklahoma City on Saturday. Because for me, that game matters.
That game matters a lot. The last time we played them, we weren't healthy and we got boat raced. And so it's time to get some revenge. This is a tune-up game. Get your guys healthy. Let BC and some of these guys get healthy. I can see this being a game. Again, if we can pull away and handle our business, we can let a lot of the young guys get some run and let our big dogs rest ahead of Saturday would be ideal. But we'll see. Toronto's like us. They turn the ball over a fair amount. We both average over 15 turnovers a game right now. They're a very foul-heavy team, so we can take advantage of that. Let's play clean basketball. Let them turn the ball over and get a professional win tonight in the midweek. In what Brevin Knight said on the 2 Buck Sports Show is one of his favorite sports cities.
Toronto, yeah, he did, man, which is awesome. It's always nice when they say cities that you don't really expect.
He said San Antonio because of the food, directly contrary to Charles Barkley. And he said Toronto, and it's that's cool. Of all the places, it's Toronto. So kind of put that on my list of places I might like to check out.
Yep, I want to put this up here because we need Yuki Chance at the 5-minute mark in the fourth, and I would be, I would be happy. But moving on, we're gonna move on. We don't, like we said, I think this game.
Go get a win.
We should go.
Grizzlies are 9.5-point favorite. Go cover. Good teams win. Great teams cover. Go get the win.
Go get the win. especially go get the win on the eve of the trade deadline, because this has been a crazy week. It looks like it's going to be continued to be a crazy 24, 36 hours, however long we got. My dog is eating something right now, and I don't know what it is. We're going to worry about that later.
I had to mute a second ago because Shelby was chewing on the rug, and so I had to get her to stop. So
I just looked up, and I was like, what's he doing? Anyway, I was sitting there looking, yesterday I was like, okay, there's not really – we've kind of hit all the big names. Would you make that trade? We've been kind of hitting all the big names. I was really just kind of like, we need something to talk about. I know there's going to be someone to trade. I was sitting in the trade machine making up stuff that I hadn't heard any rumors of, no hide or hair of anything. I was just trying to make something out of nothing just to give us something to talk about. And then lo and behold, we got I say awesome. I need to be careful. We got a little overexcited. This was what came out yesterday, and it was in Michael Soto's his piece over at Hoops Hype. I believe he does this NBA Intel is really good.
Yeah,
he's really plugged in. Drew Hill retweeted it, but it looks like the Grizzlies have interest in Lonzo Ball. So I ask you, my good friend Dr. Buckets, would you make that trade? Because I would.
Go ahead.
I would.
Yeah. I would, but I would be cautious because there's also a chance that he could get bought out and the Grizzlies could pick him up that way. So I want Lonzo Ball on the team, but Lonzo Ball is a candidate for a buyout. I did some research on that yesterday. He's a guy that Chicago is wanting off the team at or around the trade deadline. And if there's no suitable offers, there is a real chance that he could be just a free agent target that we could sign cheaper than I think his $16 million contract. And so I would make that trade for the right pieces, but I would also be cautious because we could pick him up as a buyout player.
Then I'm very glad you brought up the buyout market, because that is something that I forget about constantly. And there are always some gems.
And Lonzo Ball could be one of those, because I very much like the idea of him on this team. He's like, we've always said, what if Scottie Pippen Jr. was 6 feet tall? Well, Lonzo's 6'6", right?
A big old boy.
He's a big dude. He sees the floor well. He's had a couple games in the last month where he's gone for 13, 18, 17. He can score. He developed a jump shot and a three ball that made him better. Now, he's a wash defensively, maybe slightly above average, but he facilitates really well. And he's been in control of a high-speed offense before. UCLA, what they did in the Lakers. He's ran high-speed offenses before. I like the prospects of Lonzo Ball on the team, and I feel like the floor is kind of he's kind of got a high floor. It's kind of a safe option. And I was talking about this yesterday. If they announce the Memphis Grizzlies have traded for Lonzo Ball, I'm going to say, all right, that makes us a little bit better, but it doesn't make us a championship team. If this is the only move, I don't love it. All this to say, yes, I would make that trade. I want Lonzo on this team, but he could be an option for a buyout pickup.
Yeah, see, shout out DG. Who you giving up for Lonzo as an expiring? He may be out of the top 8 players. That's why, man, the buyout. If getting him in the buyout market,
that's why I'm thinking that's the move. So. I tricked you when we were talking about it yesterday. Yes, I want Lonzo on this team, but let's use our big brain time and let's get him in a buyout, because you can get him cheaper that way. And then if he doesn't make the top 8, you're not out a pick or expiring deal or whatever. You move that for maybe a bigger fish, Cam Johnson, if you're listening. Yeah. And then you can pick up Lonzo Ball as a buyout option.
Man, that's so interesting, because I was on the trade machine last night, and I was playing around, and even some this morning. It's Marcus Smart is the main. He is the main kicker in any sort of trade. You could do Luke and string some together, but you get Marcus and Jitty together and make $26 million.
Yeah. And this is a great. Do we have an open round spot? We don't. But if we do a 2-for-1, if we do say it's Smart and Jitty or Smart and LaRavia or whoever for Cam Johnson, then you're opening up a spot that you could then pick him up as a buyout.
I was just about to say that. You use your this is I don't know. I don't know
about that. I get I think we're in love with the idea of Marcus Smart, right? It's the idea of, it's that ex-girlfriend, right? When you're in high school, you're she wasn't that bad. You just remember the good times, right? You don't remember all the times that she embarrassed you, did all that stuff. So Yeah, it's like, she wasn't that bad. Like, I think we're in love with the idea of Marcus Smart, but what we've seen from Marcus Smart on the court hasn't been enough to convince me that Smart is that guy, DG. And like a player's best ability is availability, and Lonzo has had availability where Marcus Smart has not.
Man, I saw it in the comment. Let me see if I can find it. So there is, I don't know.
I mean, can he though? Like,
can he?
Like, he hasn't shown me that he can be used at all in a season, man. Like, that's my thing. Like, we're in love with the idea of Smart, but like the product we get from Smart is not great. He's shot us out of basketball games. He has played well in some. It's the Marcus Smart experience, but he's just like, we're literally one jump shot away from being right back where we are now because of his he doesn't have Twitter fingers, he has Tinder fingers. We're one jump shot away from being right back in this situation, man. Like, I like Marcus Smart. I appreciate the idea of him. I appreciate like the concept that Marcus Smart is, but the on-court product has not been enough for me to say let's keep him around.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of in the same boat. It's just been a lot of what ifs and what could be, and I'm just
again, like Lonzo was dead. Yeah, Lonzo was dead for 3 seasons, but he has played more than Marcus Smart has recently. Like, you can again, we can look at the past. Maybe I'm in love with the idea of Ball, like, and maybe, but like again, he has played more this season than Marcus Smart has, and again, a player's best ability is availability. We need guys who are available. Point blank, period. And Marcus Smart has not been available. He's available tonight. We'll see if he actually plays. But the concept of Marcus Smart is great, but the on-court product has been less than desirable.
Yes, I agree with you on that. And I think all of what we're talking about right now, it still boils down to the fact that this isn't the big fish that we think really moves the needle for us as a contender. We both agree on that. This is just a fringe move. Like, if the Grizzlies are going to stick to their normal Grizness and do a fringe move like they normally do, this would be a great fringe move, in my opinion.
Yeah, again, this is not the banner winner. This is not the one that you write home about, or that you get a Shazam or ShamWow, whatever we're calling them. Yeah. Like, this is not what that would be. Like, this would just be a consolidation move. It's 100% what it is. I'm still firmly in the camp of, if all it takes is 2 first-round picks, you go get Cam Johnson. It would be foolish not to.
Yep, I agree. If that's all it's going to take, it should have happened yesterday. Moving on. So this is kind of a two for conversation right here, I guess. I didn't tell you we were going to talk about this. The NBA Rising Stars rosters were announced. They announced their teams.
I did see that.
We had we talked about how we wanted Stephon Castle, Jalen, and Edie all on the same team. That happened. I feel pretty good about that. I'm excited Wells and Edie are going to be playing together. The reason I bring up the rosters up, the untouchables on this team. We're talking about who we would trade, who is available.
This is a good conversation. I like this.
Who are you not trading? Because there's, like, going through, we know there's consolidation trades we need to happen. We know it's about making your top 8, maybe 9, 7, 8 guys better. That's what it's about. Who is untouchable on this roster? The untouchables with Sean Connery. Who are you?
Great. One of my favorite top 5 movie, man. Love that movie.
Love it. It's just great.
Yeah.
So, like, who are you not trading? Who are you keeping? Who are you holding on to with all your money?
I mean, we've got our big 3, obviously, right? So I feel like we've got 2 core 3s, right? We've got the Grizz Next Gen, which is Ja, Jaren, and Desmond. And then we have our new core, to me, being Jalen, Gigi, and Vince. So I like those 6 are fairly untouchable for me. We've talked about on this show, like Ja in the first for Luka. I would ask them if they like to barbecue and want to come to Memphis and have a chat. Right? Like there's probably 3 players in the world I would trade one of our core 3. And we're not going to talk about favorites, so we don't talk about favorite kids. We're not going to say which of the core 3, the next gen that we're going to trade. But those 6 to me are fairly untouchable. I know Vince has been kind of made of glass, but again, what we've seen, the product we've seen of him and Gigi and Jalen are enough for those 6 to be untouchable for me.
I'm with you.
Outside of that, I mean, I love BC. I stand for BC. I always have. Huge BC fan. But for the right piece, I would listen to those conversations, right? If it brought us a John Collins, if it got us in the conversation for a Kelly Olynyk or a Kevin Durant or something like that. Like, BC's not the pivotal piece for that. You should, like, and I know he's probably going to come up at some point, but you're not getting KD or Jimmy Butler without one of those 6 players that I mentioned. Like, that's just not going to happen.
Yeah. You're probably right.
And we can have a conversation about whether that's worth it if you'd like. But for me, it's those 6. Everybody else I would listen to. Conversations about Marcus, Luke, any of those guys, to me, can be moved.
I completely agree with you. I was going through this morning, last night. And those are the only 6 that I landed on every single time. Mm-hmm. Shelby agrees. I was like, these are the 6. I was like, I like Edie and BC for me are 2 that I really, really like. And I would put them 7 and 8 if I had to.
But again, I put those 7, 8 because I would listen to conversations. If it got us a seat at the table with some of these big dogs, like, I mean, if it came down to it, they were like, we want Marcus, but we want Brandon Clark. That's a lot of money that we just freed up, and it gets us Cam Johnson, maybe Day'Ron Sharpe back. I would listen. Like, and I love BC. I love what BC does. He plays bigger than 6'8". He's on. If you look up the historic Grizz 2- and 3-man roster or lineups, he's on some of the best ones. Yeah, all like he's a positive with just about everybody this year. But I would listen to the right trades for sure.
Yeah, it's you mentioned the 2 tiers of the untouchables. We got the big 3, we got the backup, not the backup big 3, but the next big 3. For me, there were 4 guys that I'm like, I really like these guys, but if the right deal comes available, if the right offer, and it was the 2 he mentioned, Luke and Santi. I like those 4 a lot, but I see the value that the 4 of those guys might have for other people. The other guys on this roster, I'm not married to. I think we've got a lot of pieces that like Jake, Jitty, Scotty. I'm not sold with any of these pieces. Pieces.
Yeah, they're French pieces. And Luke, I mean, I don't know if you're ready to have that conversation, but like if, let's say Phoenix called and said Kevin Durant wants to come to Memphis, but you got to give up Desmond Bane, Gigi Jackson Jr., or Jalen Wells, who are you giving up?
I have to.
You have to give up one of those to get Kevin Durant. Who is and if it's not one of those 3, those are just 3. The first 3 that came to mind. If it's not one of those 3, like who would you give up of those core 6? If it's like feet to the fire, tied up on a railroad track, you have to give up one of those to get Kevin Durant. Who is it?
Oh man. I would say Gigi or Dez. I'm keeping Jalen. Gigi. I'm gonna say Gigi.
That's probably Desmond Bane. Because he's going to be the one that gets him back. I love Dez. Like, we're not trading Desmond Bane. Like, this is just a thought exercise. Leno gives up GG. Luke is giving up GG.
I'm keeping Wells.
I mean, we owe GG $1.8 million. So that's a phenomenal contract. Jalen Wells on a rookie deal. I'm keeping both of those guys.
It's got to be Dez.
It's got to be Dez. It's got to be Dez. And again, it's not going to happen. It's not what I want. Love Tutu, one of my favorite players. He's not going anywhere. But in that like hypothetical world, that's who it would probably have to be.
Yep. We're in the same
boat. It's not Ja and it's not Jaren at all.
Yep. But don't clip this. No. Don't take it.
No.
All 6 of we said 6 players were untouchable.
6 untouchables. Definitely one of them.
I see you. I know what happens. Stuff gets
Somebody just tuned in and heard me say we're trading Desmond Bane, and then I'm going to be labeled Dark Grizz Twitter, and that's not me.
And that's all they heard. That's all they heard. And that's not, we're just saying thought exercise.
Just thought exercise. But to reel it all back in, there are 6 players who are untouchable. It's the Grizz Next Gen and the new young core. That's it.
That's and I would put that 6 against most 6 in the league. To be perfectly honest, I like that 6 a lot.
Especially like, and we ain't hating Bane. Kadarius, thanks for joining in, man. I'm glad you're here, man. Like, I appreciate you being here, but we ain't hating Bane. We love Desmond Bane. He's been on a freaking tear for the last 2 months. It's a bad time to be a Bane hater because he's been
bad time.
Assists and points. But, like, especially, like, we got our core 3, our next gen, Ja, Dez, and Jaren, and they're amazing. Jaren's about to get paid. But that next tier of GG, Wells, and Vince, sorry, I forgot his name, Vince, like are on great contracts and they're great young players. And so we set ourselves up for the future. Why trade one of those pieces, man, for a rental like a KD or a Jimmy Butler? Yes, they would definitely lift us to the next tier of basketball. And there's a good chance we could get a championship this year. But would you give up one of those players for a rental? And for me, it's a hard no. And I'm glad that it came out that Kleiman is in the same camp, told Pat Riley no on Gigi or Jalen for Jimmy, because that's a great contract young player with limitless potential for a literal 1-year rental.
Yeah,
No,
just doesn't make sense. Yeah,
that ain't good math. Even in Mississippi, that ain't good math.
I love it. Glad Climate is on the same page as we are. Thank God. That's gonna do it for the show today, y'all. We got a little bit of a short one today. We got stuff we got to do. I gotta go to the doctor. That's not Dr. Buckets, but we gotta go get that handled. We will be back tomorrow. The $2, you guys are going big tomorrow.
Yeah,
right, for
tomorrow, like y'all come hang out. We're starting at 12. We're going to the end of the deadline. We've got some fun stuff queued up. It's going to be awesome. We're going to, anytime there's a Shazam or ShamWow, whatever we're going to call them, comes out, we're going to break it down with y'all for y'all. Come hang out for the afternoon. Yeah, much like Desmond Bain, we're going on a heater tomorrow, and we're going to roll, baby. So tune in 12 o'clock noon tomorrow.
Yeah, all of our trade deadline coverage is going to be happening there, y'all. Make sure you go check it out.
Make sure you hit like, subscribe, follow, turn your notifications on for Bluff City Media on Twitter, on YouTube. Appreciate you, Kendarius. Waiting on everybody in the comments. DG, Greer, thanks for getting KD. Not mad at it if we do. Let's go. You never know what's going to happen in the comments.
Yeah, it's great. Come in the comments tomorrow. It's going to be popping tomorrow. Going to be great. Great. We got feelings. We got good feelings about the trade deadline, y'all. Everybody have good days today. Take care of yourselves. And if we can leave you with 2 things as you go about your day, remember this. Remember to be a little bit weird, just a little bit, and remember to smile. Bye, guys. Have a good day.